is a private business. It's a private language school.
Okay.
You know, it's my business, so I decide kind of what goes on, but there's no control, no Ofsted or anything like that with a private language school here. So
That's
you
really
know, what controls it really are the people who are paying, the clients,
yeah,
the parents and the students, you know.
Hello, my name's Jenna. I'm an online primary tutor, and today I'm talking to Teresa, who is a teacher, about how to start up an English language school in Spain. If you are working in Spain as an educator, let me know down in the comments down below. Thank you very much for joining me today, Teresa.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So we came across each other on Instagram, and it was lovely. We had a lovely chat. It was really interesting because you're from England originally and had a fantastic story. So I asked if you didn't mind chatting to me about it on here, and you very kindly agreed. So I was really chuffed. So thank you again. That's lovely.
Okay.
So let's look at your background then. So you've gone on to kind of a different route from the normal teaching route. So if you could tell me what a dip teasel is, please, and what this involves.
Yeah, well, basically, it's a qualification for teaching English to speakers of other languages, or teaching English as a foreign language, TEFL or TESOL. It's a level 7 qualification that's ideal for practitioners who want to progress either into management, teacher training, examining, or basically, you know, director of studies or running your own academy or you know, things like that. It's kind of useful for, you know, that's what it's geared towards. It was a blended learning course that I did. It's kind of a part-time course. I think you can do it fully online, but I chose to do a blended course. So we did so much online and then spent a month in Barcelona, actually, doing, you know, part of the course there, which was like the teaching observations, yeah, that kind of teaching practice and written exam that we had to do in person there in Barcelona. So yeah, it was quite interesting. It was good.
And was it intensive or was it quite a relaxing environment?
It was quite intensive if you wanted it to be. You've got 3 years to complete the diploma, okay? But I think I started it around maybe March time or something, and had, like, you know, so much every week. You had some kind of online support and resources to work through. And then it was the month of August that I went to Barcelona for the intensive 1 month course after that, you know. So you've got 3 years to complete it, but it's up to you when you join. Like, you know, as most people said, no, I want to do it within, I think it was 6 months or something like that. But the good thing is then, if you don't pass one part of the exams, you've got 3 years to complete it. So you can, you know, get on with other things and then just resit that part of the exam if you need to within the next, well, within the 3 month time scale.
And so you did it in Spain. And what was the reason for going to Spain?
Well, I came to Spain about 20 years ago, nearly 20 years ago. Originally, just for personal reasons. We have 3 children now, grown-up adults, obviously, 20 years later. They were 5, 8, and 9 years old at the time. And we just wanted something different, wanted to give them, you know, other opportunities in life, a different type of life. And, you know, would always love Spain. It was my husband, actually, that was more enthusiastic, shall we say, about coming than I was. But yeah, so that was the main reason anyway, just to try something different. If you don't try something, you don't know if it's going to work or not, do you? You always with that doubt then, what if I had taken that jump? What if I'd tried that? So we didn't want to be in that position. We wanted to just, you know, say, well, at least we tried it. If it didn't work, we would have gone back. Which, to be fair, there are some times where we probably could have, or maybe should have. But we're still here, fighting on.
Oh, lovely. And where did the idea of doing a English language school come from? Was it from your training or was it something that you'd always wanted to do?
No, to be perfectly honest, it kind of fell on my doorstep because I wasn't a teacher back in the UK. My trade, if you like, my background was in sales. So I hadn't done any teaching before, although I'd always kind of liked that idea, you know. But we live in a town, quite a large town, but it's a very close-knit community. So everybody knows each other. And you know, people soon got to know these foreigners who descended into this Spanish town. And so people just started to ask me, actually, couldn't you teach us English? And I was like, no, I'm not an English teacher. "Oh, I'm sure you could, please help us out." So I just kind of got into it then and realized that actually I quite liked it and I was quite good at it, you know. So I started kind of doing other TEFL courses, teaching English as a foreign language courses, which you can do online or whatever. And, you know, just kind of built it from there, built it from nothing. But it was more people coming to me, asking me for it, that initiated the opportunity, you know.
And was there not much competition in the area then, if people were coming to ask you, do you think?
Not at that time. There was one of the language school who had been around for quite a long time. But I don't, that was the only one really. Yeah.
Mm. And what did it look like in the beginning then when you started your school?
What do you mean? What did it look like? What did what look
So
like?
was it a building? Was it online? Was it a
Ah, okay,
mixture?
physically.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
sorry.
actually, actually, we lived in an typical old Spanish townhouse in the old town.
Oh, wow.
And so it had like a basement underneath. And so I converted that into a classroom. So I only had one classroom. So we set that up, put a bathroom in there, you know, facilities and things, and started off there. And then suddenly, like not in a lot of time, maybe within a year or 2 years, I would say, I realized that this was going to take off. We had like 100, I was working on my own then. I had like 100 students every week.
That's
And I thought,
amazing.
yeah, this is getting a lot. So we moved to other premises a bit further down the street where we had 4 classrooms and employed more staff. And then another 4 years or 5 years after that, we moved into the location where we are now, which now has 6 classrooms, not always occupied, I wish. And we have a big room that we can use to do different activities and meetings. And we do official exams in that room as well for Cambridge and Trinity.
Oh, wow. When you started, what age of children did you work with initially?
All ages really, except infants. I would say from probably about 7, 8 year olds,
Mm.
and teenagers and adults. I remember having a student, she was about 65 maybe. So, and we do have a wide range of ages of students, but we do have from 3 year olds. I personally don't teach them, but we do have from 3 year olds. It's a really popular age actually in Spain to start them young
Well,
with
it is
language.
recommended from a young age, if you do want children to learn a new language, it's a
Hmm.
lot easier, but obviously as they get older, it gets, in some cases, quite hard, really. So
Yeah.
obviously you did your training, and did you then decide to follow a certain curriculum, or did you do your own curriculum, obviously before the exam kind of era came in?
Yeah, probably more or less our own curriculum. I mean, some students, it's not the same as we're talking about teaching English as a foreign language. It's not the same as a sort of mainstream education system curriculum that you might have in the UK for all different subjects for native children. So a lot of them came in the beginning maybe with homework that they needed to do for school, or their exams for school they needed help with. So that kind of dictated a bit of as to what we did, if we're talking about children and teenagers. However, then we realized that there was an opportunity to do official exams, language exams for speakers of the foreign language. through Cambridge and Trinity, it's called, Trinity College. And so we got the official authorization as a centre, an official centre, to not only, well, with Cambridge is to prepare and then hold an exam, but we need another party to come and do that, to organise that, to come and do it, because you've got to have other permission. And with Trinity, we started with them. We've been maybe providing Trinity exams for about 16 years or something like that. And yeah, hold at the moment maybe 6 sessions a year or something like that. So in terms of syllabus and curriculum, it's kind of following the contents of the exam that the students are preparing for, if that makes sense.
Oh wow, that's quite a range then. That's really, really good, and quite, you seem to cater as well as the exams to, the individual children as well. So how
Yeah, you have to. But with the younger ones now, with infants and with the primary children, then I prefer to focus on communication skills. So I'm putting together right now, actually, to start in September, well, mid-September, a program that's going to be more focused on communication skills and speaking and listening, and try and get them from that young age to try speaking a bit more. But the problem is most of them only come 1 hour a week.
yeah.
So you can only do so much at that age. 1 hour a week is not a lot. But trying to incorporate some speaking and conversation into the games and activities that they do.
And so going from working on your own to then employing staff, what was the positives of that to not the negatives, but when you involve more people in anything, there's more challenges. So
Challenges, that's the word I was thinking of, yes.
in any kind of setting,
So,
it just goes, there's things you don't even foresee, and you're like, whoa, I was not anticipating that at all.
yeah, well, I mean, as for the positives, obviously it gives you more prestige, more, recognition to become a bigger centre. I mean, really, in the northwest of the region where we live, we became quite quickly one of the biggest centres in the area. So that was quite good. And obviously you can't do that on your own. You need staff, you need extra teachers to help out. To be honest, the most challenging part is probably finding good staff, finding good teachers.
Oh, that's interesting. A lot of people are struggling with that in many different settings at the moment. And why do you think that is?
To be honest, with teaching English as a foreign language specifically, parents want the teacher to be native English. The native English teacher doesn't always have the qualification necessary or the personality. I think a lot of times it doesn't come down to only qualifications, it's experience and personality. Like we've sometimes had some teacher for the infants or primary levels who have studied the degree and they've got the qualification, but don't really have much personality. And especially with that age, I think that is probably even more important because I can train them. I do teacher training. I can do that. I can help them with what they need to do and things, but I can't really get them to change the personality. I can't do that, So personally, I think that's part of the struggle, is finding the right people for the right audience, if you like.
Yeah, definitely. You can, like, in English school, here, you can have some brilliant teaching assistants, but they just don't want to go to that next level because of all the admin side and everything like that. So it isn't always, like you say, necessarily a qualification. It's just that spark you've got to have. And a lot of people do not like working with younger children. I'm early years trained, and like the year 6 teachers would never come down to early years normally, not all, but normally, and vice versa, because it's just two totally different end of the spectrum. So then you've kind of gone on to the next point without realizing. So you said about teacher training and support. So what kind of support do you put in place then for a new staff member?
Okay, so really kind of depending on what level they're teaching, obviously, but throughout at the start and throughout the year, we do teaching observations. Not only do I observe them, but I want them to observe me and observe other teachers. I think that's something that, that's something we did on the TESOL that I was talking about, the diploma. That was something that they were quite big on, was teacher observations, because you can share each other ideas. There might be things that I do that I don't even realize, too much teacher talking time or whatever, and I don't realize it. But having someone to come in and observe you, can see something that maybe you don't see in yourself, and so I think it's a real positive activity to do more than anything. And it's always, some people think, oh God, it would be really nerve-wracking having your boss or the head or another teacher coming in to observe. But it's got to be seen in a positive light. It's got to be taken in the way that it's not for criticism, it's for development, and I think that's probably one of the best things, one of the most valuable things. We also have like a teacher meeting, depending on how often, minimum once a month, but maybe once every 2 weeks, depending what's going on. And we can talk together about any issues or some advice. Something that often comes up is, what can I do in a writing class other than just tell them to write? Like, what kind of activities can we do, and things like that. So I tend to help out, giving them ideas of how to improve on the writing skills or listening skills, with specific games or activities focused on that area. Other things, I don't know, we have like a sharing board, a teacher sharing board next to the photocopier, so anybody can share any materials, resources, ideas, or whatever they have on that notice board, to kind of just share and help each other out. We have a WhatsApp group as well, so when I find a good webinar online, there's always a British Council or Cambridge or Trinity webinars are great. Training videos, then I usually share the link in the group and recommend that they watch that, and then we'll discuss it later. So yeah, those kind of things. I suppose it's nothing rocket science. I don't know if that's the normal thing that goes on now in schools in the UK. I don't know what's done really,
It seems appropriate because like over here it's like really obsessive. Like you said about the staff meetings, and you said once a month or once every couple of weeks. God, that would be the dream in schools here, the amount of meetings they have. Because like in some schools I worked in, you'd walk in thinking, you're going to teach your class for the day, and then you'd get called in at 10 a.m. for a random half-an-hour meeting, and your TA would have to take the class. It depended on the school you were in and what point you were in relation to Ofsted, because if things weren't in a good way, you had meetings every other day. But again, if you were outstanding, it was really intense that way. It's nice that it seems to be as and when appropriate for your school, rather than, to be honest, here it's just gone overkill. It's just, to prove that you've done it. And for me, it's better for staff to feel, yes, we've got stuff going on, we've got support in place, but I'm not being forced to continuously go to something when I've got other things that are, more beneficial. Is there any type of, obviously you've got the exams and there's certain conditions with the exams, but do you have a type of Ofsted thing that has to come and check you as a language school, or?
No, I was going to say that when you mentioned Ofsted, I was going to say, but there lies the difference, because this is a private business. It's a private language school. It's my business, so I decide kind of what goes on, but there's no control, no Ofsted or anything like that with a private language school here. So
that's really
what controls it really are the people who are paying, the clients, the parents and the students. They kind of would dictate what we need to do.
And do
but
you
no, there's no kind of inspections or anything like that. No.
Lovely. That sounds like the dream. but obviously you're keeping things ticking over and in place to keep checking the standards.
Mhm.
But I was just going to ask, and it's totally gone from my mind. What was I going to ask you? So do you decide on what qualifications then you want your staff to have because it's your business?
Exactly, yeah.
And what for you, in terms of how many teachers would you have?
At the moment, we've actually downsized a bit because we had in the past more teachers, but some were working just 2 days and 2 days, another one for 1 day or 3 days. So we had it kind of spread out. And financially, for a business, it's not really viable.
Yeah.
So we kind of condensed a bit. So we've got 3 teachers and my husband and I for this year, and somebody working in the office. I would say, as far as business goes, just sorry to digress a little, but just
Yeah,
as it
go
comes to
for
my
it.
head, in case somebody is thinking of doing this or whatever, I would say that something that's often overlooked and I've realized is so important is someone in reception, is someone who is the face of your company. Because last year we didn't have anybody. We had someone for the first 2 months, and then November, she actually switched to a teacher because she was a teacher, but we didn't have a position for her at the time. So I said, start in reception, and if anybody's off sick or something, then you can substitute, and we'll see how it develops from there. Turns out that one of the teachers had to leave due to personal issues with her children. So she ended up being one of the teachers. So we were left without a secretary or anybody in reception. So me and my husband, in the times that we didn't have classes, I kind of organized the timetables as well. So I've always got somebody free. But it meant that we were like, apart from teaching and running the academy and different projects that we do, other projects as well, other areas of the business. So we ended up having to cover the reception and do all the admin stuff as well. And I realized just how critical that position is. It's the most important part of the business, really, because that's the first person that people see when they come in and the last person they see when they go out. And when you think about it like that, you need a good teacher, obviously, but somebody to greet people as they come in, and even just to say goodbye to them as they go out, to create that nice family community kind of atmosphere that we wanted, instead of me just like rushing out to see people in between doing other things. And it's really critical. The problem is that a lot of language schools don't want to invest in that person because they're not directly bringing in income for themselves. Like if you imagine a teacher has 10 students, those 10 students are paying for her wage. Whereas if you've got someone in reception directly, there's nobody paying for her salaries, you know what I mean? But I think it's a big investment that people need to realise. And I realised the hard way just how important it is,
And so for your, obviously that secretary, that person on the door is vital. What qualifications for your teachers do you look for?
So for the teachers, sorry, yeah, I digressed a bit there.
No, it's fine. I just wondered.
I mean, yeah, well, a teaching degree, if they're Spanish, they need to have a teaching degree
Oh,
and a
okay,
master's.
right.
If they're not Spanish, if they're native English, then they should have a similar qualification that I did. Maybe not to the level of the DIP TESOL, because that's more in terms of, as I said before, teacher training, management, those kind of things it leads more towards. But maybe a CERT test TESOL or a CELTA qualification, something like that is more appropriate, or some type of TEFL qualification at least,
Because that's totally different from my friend. I haven't done it personally, but my friends who've done both, the qualifications here plus the TEFL have said it is similar in some ways, but obviously very different ways of teaching and that kind of thing. Now, how many in a class do you do one-to-one in your school, or do you just do groups or a bit of both?
So mainly the maximum 10 in a group, although
Okay,
we do have some one-to-one students who are adults mainly because they want to focus on a specific thing. They're in a hurry to get the qualification, or maybe what they need to do is work related. So it's not really something you could cover in a whole group, so, but if they're teenagers or children or early years, it tends to be in a group no more than 10.
Oh, lovely. That sounds really good. And what would be your typical day, like in terms of timings? Would it be like a normal school day, like from 9 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon, or is that different for the type of school you run?
Yes, completely. I wish it was I mean, I came to Spain and I had these dreams of having an easier life. I was gonna, relax.
Oh,
I had all these ideas, but yeah, reality is so much different. So my typical day, I tend to get here for about 9:30 in the morning.
right.
And the Spanish working day is that they take a break in kind of
Oh,
in
yes.
the afternoon,
Yes, yeah.
lunchtime, and then start in the afternoon. So the state schools are at school from 9 till 2. So obviously our working day is mainly in the afternoon, evenings. So I do have some students who are in the morning, but obviously they are adults. So I tend to get here for about 9:30, here till 2 o'clock. We go home, have a quick lunch, well, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Have a quick lunch, come back, and classes start at 4 o'clock till 9 in the evening. So that's why I was like this, because we actually end up
Wow.
working much later than I ever did in the UK. But it's because you have to when people are either not at school or they're not at work. And you don't
Gosh.
really have an option. You have to work when the students need you.
Yeah. I've learned that myself because like the hours that's in a permanent job were really a lot, but there isn't really a day when you're running your own business where you can, like for me, I'll send out all my adverts whenever in the week, but I could get messages from parents on the evenings, on the
Mhm.
weekends, and
Yeah,
it looks bad if you leave it for days, if you don't reply to people. Like it's really good for you, respond, so you're never really
yeah.
off. Um, do
It
you
is
ever,
very difficult to switch off completely. I have learned over the years, and it has taken me a long time, yes, to start to say no to people, or to say, sorry, I'm not working this weekend. I've got family here. We're doing family time, and try and just take that step back from work, because, our mental health and physical health is important as well. And to be on call, if you like, 24 hours 7 days a week, it is stressful, it is taxing, when you're getting messages from parents, or he's got an exam on Tuesday, can you make sure I does this? Well, yes, but I'll look at it on Monday morning when I'm back in the academy. There's ways to say it. I don't always do that, but sometimes I just say it in a nice way, sorry, I haven't got any information at hand. I'll answer on Monday.
I think you do have to put those boundaries because especially within the education world, whatever that role is, you are naturally a caring person. If you're working with, children, teenagers,
Yeah,
adults, you can't it's very difficult to be like, no, not helping you.
yeah,
But then
yeah.
at the same time, like you say, you can't be there 7 days a week. You've got to like
Mm-hmm.
give your brain a break.
Mm-hmm.
Um, have you ever joined up with any other partnerships, any other education settings or anything like that as part of your school?
No, not really. Only, like I say, we're official centres for Cambridge and for Trinity exams, and but not officially any other type of educational settings or anything. We do have other sides of the business. So I send, or I organise. I don't send. I organise for children to go to Ireland or the UK, maybe for a full school year or a term, or maybe even
Oh, wow.
just 4 weeks or 6 weeks. I mean, in the summer, I actually go with them for 2 weeks. But if it's during the school year, then I arrange for them to go and spend time there. They live with their family and all of this. So, we do have some collaborations with the schools, but that's basically just, to give them somebody to, to collaborate with, that they can, someone they know, someone that they can trust, to recommend to the families, when often parents say, do you know anyone, or how can I send Maria to Ireland to study for a year? So they've got us as kind of a recommendation, if you like. So we do get some business through the schools like that, but we don't have any kind of educational setting that will have any relationship with or agreements with or work together or anything like that.
That sounds great though, what you do with the,
Mm-hmm.
sending kids to different places to try and develop the language and everything. So,
Exactly. I love it. It's great because it gives them the real experience, the real English experience, the total immersion, and it not only for learning language. You can imagine the benefits of living in another country for a spell, especially as a child, as a teenager. They're normally teenagers. There's so much that they learn from that, from the experience.
so you've always been doing it a long time, and
Hmm.
you've all obviously had goals throughout, I presume, your career with the school. Do you
Hmm.
set new goals every year, every couple of years, or are you more go with the flow type of person for the business?
Okay, so it's a good question. It just depends. To be honest, things are getting a little bit more challenging now for various reasons in terms of either competition or there's so many kids have so many after school activities here in
Yes,
Spain,
that's
or
very, very true.
especially in this town. I don't know if it's typical in the UK, but
Yeah,
especially in this town.
really bad.
Yeah. So, they're always at different sports, dancing, music. So sometimes even, you might get some are saying, oh, he's got so many activities, can't come to English classes this year, 1 hour a week. But I can't come. So there's kind of those things. But in the past, we didn't really have any of those issues. So I didn't really feel like I needed to, it just ticked along. Do you know what I mean? It was quite well established and there wasn't really any need for worrying or goal setting or anything. But it is true that things are changing. So I feel that I'm quite a creative person in terms of always pivoting the business and looking for different avenues and different ideas and different ways to expand and things like that, So that's why, like, I started looking at the academic program, studying abroad. So yeah, at the moment, that's my main goal to expand on in terms of helping students in their quest of improving their English. Another thing, so you're always pivoting, you always have to look for new ideas. I want to start, I've been thinking about this month as well. And in the summer, we tend to get the cogs going, don't we, and think of
It's
different
stunning,
ideas
so
as
your
well.
brain feels good and
So I've got an idea as well of starting up like a membership,
oh, yeah.
getting a community of TEFL teachers together, so would have like online Zoom meetings once a month or 2 weeks or something, depending what they would want. But like a community, bringing TEFL teachers together to help each other out, give them some training, give them some support, share ideas, that kind of thing. So that's my new baby, my new project for this year. So I do have goals for the academy, for the classes, but like I say, they do tend to just tick along quite nicely with repeat students. We get some new ones, you might lose some, but a lot of them have been with us for years, or now their brothers and sisters are here. Even their children. I started with some parents, now the children are here. I feel really old.
That's,
Um, so yeah, it's just always being on top of things, isn't it? You've got to always, when it's your own business, you've always got to be pivoting and looking for other opportunities and have new ideas. So that's my new thing anyway. So if there's any TEFL teachers out there, if I can just give a bit of a plug,
yeah, go for
if
it.
there's any of the English teachers out there, well, you don't have to be English teacher, but that's my focus. And you wanted to join the membership, the community, well, they can get in touch with me. But it's something that I'm looking to launch in
Yeah.
September. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I think that's going to be nice, helping other teachers as well.
Oh, now before we finish off, I've got a couple more questions. But when we
Okay.
were chatting, you said that the school doesn't run like all year round, does it? It runs for
Now.
a certain amount of months. And then you also have the other side of your business, your travel side of your business. So if we
Mhm.
look at how many months does the school run for initially, and then if you share the travel side.
Okay, so I haven't actually closed. It has been 12 months. We
Oh,
are
okay.
open. Some years we have closed in August if it seems like it's not really worth it, or whatever reasons, But this year we have continued all summer. It's just that it's very limited. So, the children don't continue, put it that way. So a lot of the early years and primary might come from, say, September, middle September till end of May. June, July, August, you don't see the little kids really. Teenagers, yeah, start about the same time. Some start in October. And this year, again, this is another thing as a business, you've got to always be thinking, what can I do to get them to stay a little bit longer? So I organised a Cambridge exam for them at the end of July. So they attended an intensive course for the month of June and July and did the exam at the end of it. So that kind of kept us going a little in that way, And August has really just been a few adults that wanted to continue, and I didn't want to abandon them. So we've kind of kept going. But yeah, mainly the travel side, as I said before, can be during the school year, they go. But then in July, I normally go for 2 weeks with a group of teenagers to Ireland or England. Went near Brighton this year, and I stay with them in a residence, and they have like a summer camp kind of idea,
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and who hosts that? Is it a school then, or is it like a residential kind of thing?
Yeah, it's normally held, well, there's lots of different options. There's lots doing it. This year, for example, and in other years we've been, it's like a boarding school because they finish early. They finish like in
Yeah, they
June
finish quite
normally. So
early,
they
yeah.
make it available to others. So then companies tend to rent the premises and organize a camp and then get people like me to go with a group. I mean, that's on my to-do list as well, is to actually organise a full camp, because we used to do that here as well. But doing it in the UK is a lot more complicated now, especially with Brexit, but we won't get into that. But yeah, we used to do summer camps here for Spanish kids. And we used to go to a campsite with multi-adventure activities and all of that. So that was something that we used to do, but then I decided that was getting a bit complicated. So
It
trying to
never
find native English
just when you
monitors
look
was really
into
difficult.
things, it really, like when you look into like the legal side of things, it looks all fun and nice, and then you realise how much paperwork's involved and how much we used to have that in school, that you expected to take your class away, not away like the younger year groups, you'd expected to do like a trip. But the paperwork associated with the trip was just horrific sometimes. And you dreaded it every year because obviously you wanted the kids to have a good time, but you looked for the simplest, easiest place to visit because the amount of adults you had to have there, you had to have a first aider, you had to have this, you had to have that. And it's just, the fun just like gets lost.
That's right, it does. It takes the fun out of it. And I mean, I don't know. Thankfully, I want to say, but maybe there would be some people that would disagree with that, because obviously these systems are put in place for a reason, and I totally respect that. However, here in Spain, it hasn't got to that level yet.
Oh, that's good.
Parents can still go on the trip with the kids without any kind of major issues. If they're going to the beach for the day or to the theatre for the day or whatever, the parents can just kind of tag along and walk along with them and help out. Whereas I think in the UK, it's not like that now. They need to have special authority or permission or something, don't they?
Yeah, we used to have a lot of parent helpers in school. It's just common. They'd come in, they'd read with the kids, they'd help out with jobs. But now they've got to have DBS checks, which obviously, that's good. They've got to have all
you do
these
need to have
paperwork
that here.
Yeah, you do need all of that, unfortunately, due to, not very nice incidents. But all the paperwork side, I don't know about Spain, but everything here, whatever the job is, it just takes businesses so long to get anything done. All schools get anything done. A lot of schools turn into academies, so therefore they're businesses now. So anything just takes so long, and it's just and you're so excited, and then you lose that enthusiasm and you're like, no, just keep the faith so that the kids will have a nice time. keep it going. So, but anyway, well, I've learned a lot from you. Thank you very much for your time. Where can we find you online?
So the actual academy is called El Centro de Inglés, which is the English
Nice.
Centre, but in Spanish, El Centro de Inglés, because I didn't want it to be just considered a school. I wanted it to be considered as a centre for English. So anything that people needed help with English, we were the centre to go to. So that was why I chose that name. So it's El Centro de Inglés, Spanish name. So yeah, I'm on Instagram and Facebook with that. We do have other pages for other activities, like and I'll be probably creating another Facebook group and page for the membership community. My name's Teresa Higgins, so if anybody even wanted to search for me, I am on social media as well.
Well, I'll put all your details down below. You sent them all to me prior, so that's lovely. And thank you again. It was an absolute joy to talk to you.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been nice. It's been nice to chat.
Lovely.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. If you like today's video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see who else I'm chatting to, and make sure to check out the details down below.